Hi everybody, this is Antti from Kalmah and you are listening to RichardMetalFan.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Richard Metal Fan Interviews, episode number 161. And today's guest, we're talking to Antti Kokko. Antti is the lead guitarist and founding member of the band Kalmah, a Finnish melodic death metal band that's been around since the late 90s. And today we're going to be talking to him about what got him into metal, basically what made him want to play guitar, as well as the history of Kalmah. So without further ado, let's go talk to Antti. So what's up, guys? I'm here with Antti Kokko from Kalmah. How are you doing today, Antti?
Fine, thanks. Fine, thanks. Good weather and lot of mosquitoes.
Yeah, it's that time. It's summertime. Like I know it. Like here in Georgia, where I'm at in America, it's like 80 to 90, sometimes even 100, which is brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so awesome to have you here. So, kind of like the format is, I want to do like a rundown of your discography to talk about like your musical history. But to get back to young Antti Kokko, so kind of growing up in Finland, what were the first bands that got you into metal? What made you want to start playing guitar?
Well, my brother Pekka started to listen to heavy music and uh, back in at the end of 80s, something like that. And I remember Wasp, Kiss, and those kind of bands. And after that came harder ones, Metallica, Sepultura, and so on. So I was influenced by my brother.
Awesome. And from what I was seeing on Metal Archives, I believe your first band was called Remains. I don't know if that was your first band or if that was like after. Or so tell me about like that because I don't think nobody's ever talked about that.
Yeah, we Pekka had his band Ancestor back then in the beginning of 90s, and I was pretty young back that time. I was 11 or 12 years old, and I had some friends same age as me, so we started to play together and did some songs and uh, did one demo as well. And that was the end of that story.
Awesome. And so I believe like the first like incarnation of Kalma was originally was called Ancestor because I think it was like you and your brother started that band. So tell me about like that. How did you all form?
Well, Ancestor, uh, they had two guys, one guitarist and the drum player. They started to play something together and they needed a bass player. So Pekka joined the band as a bass player at first. And then they realized they don't have a singer. So Pekka decided to do that as well and actually changed instrument from bass to guitar as well. Um, Ancestor did something like one or two demos before I joined it in the 1995 or something like that. And then we released two or three demos at least, and finally changed the name to Kalmah. And after that, we did one EP and got the recording deal with that.
Yeah, yeah, but tell me because really like, this year does mark 25 years of Kalma as a band, even though you kind of existed a little bit before that under the ancestor mockery. But did you ever think that Kalma would be around for 25 years?
Well, actually, I haven't thought about it in a way that how long we are going to exist. But as long as my inspiration gives music and we have good time together, so why not?
Yeah. But tell me about like that first demo I think you did in 99, Severi Obraza. Because I just like how it's just like it's only like 11 minutes, but it's just like short and to the point. It's just very raw sounding. So where was that recorded at?
It was recorded at Oulu Mastervox Studios, uh, three songs and one weekend, if I recall correct.
Wow. Wow. Wow, and I just love that. But then I think you started touring around Finland, and I believe your first label was Spike Farm Records. So how did they find Kalmah?
Well, actually, uh, Eternal Tears of Sorrow was on the Spine Farm at those days, and we knew the guys. They are from Pudasjärvi as well. So, and at that time, Antti Veteläinen was already living at Helsinki, or he was living at Helsinki that time, and uh, there's some connection. He knew, of course, the guys from the label, and Alte said that you should send some cassette or something about from the new songs, and we actually recorded to with the tape recorder when we were rehearsing. We recorded three songs and sent that to the label. And next week, I got the email that when you are able to go to studio.
Yeah. And so then you put out in 2000 the debut album Swamp Lord. Definitely, in my opinion, one of the most underrated like melodic death metal album debuts of all time. So what was the thought process going into making Swamp Lord?
A tough process. No, it was a. I think it was a fun process because we have been waiting so long to get the recording deal, and we already had four or five songs ready, and then we of course got very excited. So it was easy to write the songs needed for the album. It was great time.
Yeah, and I just love how I just think it just proves that you have like something to say without sounding too close to like some of like your other peers in Finland, like Children of Bodom and stuff like that. Especially like the vocal delivery, the guitars, and like the keys go well. I just love like the melodic sort of like death influence, with a lot of the hints of like the black metal maliciousness, and even like the sophistication of like power metal. Just really just makes it really a fucking great album.
Thanks.
Yeah. But when this album first came out, did you just like start like touring outside of Finland for the first time, or was it still just kind of local?
Yeah, we haven't done so much gigs overall, and we back those days we did some local gigs, and I think after that album we got some festival gigs outside Finland as well.
Awesome. So then the second album is They Will Return. Because usually with the debut album you have like your entire life to write, and there was a lot of hype with the first album. When it came to making They Will Return, did you feel like pressure to follow up Swamp Lord?
No, but we had some difficulties because there was we had something like three or four songs ready, and we had some 2 months for the studio, and same time we had to change drummer and the bass player. So it was hectic time. But we managed to write the songs, and we rehearsed a lot together. So it turned out pretty well.
Oh, I just think it's another great album. I think you really kind of like honed in your craft, like even Swamp Hell, the title track. I even loved like the Megadeth cover you did, Skin on My Teeth. What made you decide to do a Megadeth cover?
Well, if I have this, well, my God, it is the one band I have always been listening to, not the latest stuff, but the early days. And I still think that Rust in Peace and Countdown to Extinction are probably one of the best albums ever made in metal music. And that's because Marty Friedman, that's my favorite guitar player.
Yeah, he's like mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next album is Swamp Song. I love like that album. So what was that like going from They Will Return to Swamp Song?
Ah, I don't know. Uh, mm, what happened. I don't know. We just kept writing the songs and I went to the studio. I can't remember much from that time actually.
Yeah, but I know this year does mark 20 years of Swamp Song. So kind of like another question I want to talk about. Is there like a chance maybe we can get a celebration somehow? Maybe do a tour where you play it start to finish?
I don't know. It depends on the offers we get. Actually, talking about Swamp Song,
Yeah.
there's some Italian label who did an LP from Table Return, and today I got mail with the Swamp Song LP. So
Nice.
that's cool.
Nice. That's fucking awesome. So man, I need to get some Kalmah on vinyl too. But then the next album is the Black Waltz, and I noticed there's like a 3 year gap between Swamp Song and the blah blah the Black Waltz. Did you really want to take your time to like hone in your craft for that album?
Uh, well, we have always had everything else going on except the music. We have the day jobs and if I remember correct, that time drummer and bass player moved to Helsinki, the capital of Finland, away from 600 kilometers away from Oulu. So uh, it just it was kind of natural.
Oh,
We did something else, and then we did some music.
awesome. And I kind of liked how you did like a mashup of like your first demo of two songs, Sevri Very Doggura and the early song Desi Doggura. Girl, what made you just guys decide like do like a mashup of some like early demos?
Mm, I think we needed something for Japan release, so
Yeah.
that was the reason we did it.
Yeah, I just think it's like a really interesting song. I dig it. I think it's a lot more polished, so to speak.
Uh, I can't even remember the song.
Eh, all good, man. All good. Good. And the next album is For the Revolution. I like that album too. And I know this year does mark 15 years of that album. So what was the thought process going into making that album?
Oh, hard to remember. All I remember was the photo shooting sessions on the swamp. uh, uh, well, at least I remember it was a smooth process as always to record it,
Yeah.
and basically that basically that's it.
Yeah, it's just I still a great album. I just feel like with all your albums, you just it's still Kalma, but you definitely try to like experiment with your sounds, but you don't want to make it do like a complete 180, so that way people will be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, I think it's more different comparing to for example, the back waltz.
Yeah,
Uh, I think it may have somewhat trash that's more or something. I don't know.
yeah. And next up is 12 Gauge. I like that album. Tell me about that.
Well, same old story. Uh, okay, it's uh, mm, I can't remember. One thing I remember is when we were making the video for the song, for the title song, it was minus 34 degrees Celsius here, so it was pretty cold.
Hmm, awesome. And I kind of like the acoustic like
That's all I can remember.
yeah, I like the acoustic intro like Rust Never Sleeps. I just love how it just like gets you like really just pumped up before we get into like the first actual song Wanna Fail. I just think is really great.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Now I remember it has some acoustics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
maybe more than
yeah.
other albums.
And then next up is Seventh Swamp Symphony. I think it's a really great album, and I know that this year does mark 10 years of that album, and I know that there's like a lot of anniversaries for you guys this year. But what was the thought process going into making that album?
Uh, I remember that I think on that album we did something different than usual. It was, I think, if I remember correct, I was excited because there was some new things going on with the songs, and uh, I really liked the album as well, the songs on the album. So, and it started some kind of started a new era as well. I have always thought that the Black Vault started new kind of page, and the Seventh Symphony turned another page in the band's history in
Yeah,
some way. I don't know why, but
yeah. And then your last album, Halo. I love this album. This was actually one of my favorite albums from 2018. Tien, tell me about like making this album.
uh, mm, well, it was different from the others because it was recorded in different places. At least drums and bass were recorded in different studios, and the rest were recorded in different studios. So um, we were not in the studio as a band so much. Uh, at least that's something different. And I actually listened that album to one month ago, and can't didn't remember all the songs.
Yeah. Yeah, but now we have like the new album, the self-titled, which has been out since May. I love that album. Definitely still one of my favorite albums from this to come out this year. So, what was like the writing and recording process for this album?
Well, writing process was pretty slow. I don't know why. We have things going on, and there was the Corona time, and uh, there was, for example, the first song I pretty much worked with that song a whole year or something. And when I finally got that ready, then it was easy to continue with the other songs.
Yeah.
Um, Writing process was slow but rewarding.
Yeah. And I noticed like it's a self-titled because usually with a when a band releases like a self-titled album, it's like because usually a self-titled is like the first album, but if it's like in the middle of their career or later, I always feel like it's like a new kind of like era or start for Kalmah. Was that sort of like the reason? What was for you? Pretty much what I wanted to ask is what was the reason for it just being self-titled?
Well, we have been thinking about quit this stuff, but and if you look at the cover, you see the Swampler head and the cross and things like that. So uh, we thought that this may be the last album we may make, and but on the other hand, I felt that it can be a new start, like you said, and now it feels like there's new songs coming up. So maybe that's not the last album, anyways. And the second reason is that we tried to think about a good title for the album, but we couldn't come up with anything good. So
Yeah.
then we ended up with self-titled.
Yeah, and I still like some of the songs on there. Especially one of my favorite songs is "Haunted by Guilt." It has like that very aggressive song, and then "Drifting in a Dream" is a very kind of like different animal. Well, it's sort of like a more mid-tempo and moodier, but still at the Kalma song. Sort of like, is there like a sort of like a different like emotion with channeling within every song on the album?
Uh, um, well, when I write, I have written those songs both, and I have to. I have no special emotion going on, but if I think that this is very good. So I always get excited and start to work with the album, with the song, and I do think that drifting is very much different song compared to any of our songs. It's it has for me it has vibes from old Paradise Lost and maybe Amorphis or something like that.
Uh, All right, and I got a couple more questions for you. Kind of like to talk coming from Finland, because I think Finland like is pretty much like the metal capital of the world with like you guys, Children of Bodom, Wolfheart, Swallow the Sun, Amorphous, so many great bands. I also feel like it's very diverse because each band kind of sounds like different from one another. So, what is like the metal scene in Finland?
Well, I don't know. I live in the countryside and I'm not mingling with the metalheads in metal places. So well, but in general, I think the good old bands are still going strong, and I haven't heard any good new metal bands from Finland. That's probably because they try to write everybody nowadays. It's not metal. It's this. I hate metal.
Yeah.
It's well, if you listen to Spotify and all the new metal songs, there's always the clean vocal shit stuff and all polished instruments and things like that. That I think the real metal is pretty much dead, so to say.
All right. And sort of like the final question I want to ask to wrap this up is talking about like your gear because I think you have like a sick guitar tone. So what kind of like guitars that you play? I'm always curious about like your rig, like strings, pedals, amps, all that good stuff.
Well, that's my rig is very small. I only have basically my amp is Fryette Sig X. Uh, then I use whatever cabinet is available. And then I have the Ibanez TS 808 tube screamer, and that's basically my gear. And then I have two guitars. The other one is the ESP standard. What is this E2 whatever basic guitar, and then I have the custom Amphisound guitar that's in the case there.
Awesome.
So my gear is very small. I don't when I play live, I just use my amp and put the tube screamer, and then of course one noise gate, and
Cool.
that's it.
Cool. So, before we go, I just want to thank you for taking the time to do this little conversation. It was great to be able to talk with you. There's just anything else with that Kalmah that you'd like to plug in terms of like tours and stuff? And is there a chance you could bring Kalmah to the States for a tour soon?
Well, I hope you over there like the album, and I hope there will be an offer to come to the States. But I haven't seen any up to date, so probably in the future.
Huh. So yeah, yeah. Thank you, man. So everybody,
Thank you.
Antti from Kalmah. We'll see you next time.